Hello. So we're doing a top end rebuild on a 2005 KLX 110 pit bike. There was a bunch of crap ones online, so we're going to go through this step by step, real easy like. So first, we're draining the oil. Draining the oil into whatever that's called. Alright, so we have to remove the bolts on the exhaust. 1, 2, right here. Also going to remove the one on the back where it holds it on together here. Gotta go right here, if you can see that. And some light. Alright, so remove the bolt here, 10 millimeter. I got a Yoshi pipe underneath, so I have to remove that. I'm not sure what size it is. It's probably a 12. And I can take this whole Yoshi pipe off. Down here is a 12. Both of these, let's see if I can get this focused. Both of these are 12 millimeter. So I'm going to take those off as well. There we go, all clean. Alright, so that's removed from the bottom, from the exhaust. So then we got to take off the intake. Taking it off right here. Not even going to disconnect the carb or anything, just taking it off right here. 2 bolts, 1, 2. Let's see if I can show you. 1, 2. Alright, took the cover shrouds off. I've got 1 bolt out of the intake, taking the other bolt off the intake now. Loosened the... It got me. So anyways, loosen the grommet that actually holds on the carburetor from that side. I'm going to take this one off here. Pull this whole thing back. Hey! Alright, turn off the petcock right here. And disconnect the fuel line from the carb right here. So plug up your carb. Plug up the head of the motor so don't get anything down in there. Alright, unplug the whatever this is. Take out the spark plug, plug the hole. Alright, so I've already drained the oil, so I'm going to take the, this is an oil line from the bottom end to the top end. I'm going to take it off this side here, 10 millimeter, and right there. Hard to get to this stuff here, so I'm taking off the skid plate. You got 1 bolt on each side here, and a couple of 12 millimeters right here where it connects to the foot pegs. All right, about to get a storm. Sweet. So this, I'm not gonna sugarcoat any of the stuff that I'm doing on here, because you guys, it might help you guys. But anyways, on this oil line here, this bolt is like super stuck. So I have the line loose from the top and the bottom. So I'm going to leave that on there until I get the head off. I can put it in a vise and not have to go upside down. That one right there. Another thing, we don't want to lose these crush washers right here on both sides. So make sure you get those out of there. Alright, this part's pretty self-explanatory, I guess. So we're going to take off these 4 bolts and expose the cam or the timing chain. Right here there'll be a sprocket. Alright, that looks pretty good. I'm going to start using the, keep notice of your timing, but we'll go over that later. I should use the light the whole time. Anyways, 4 off. We're going to take off these 2 Allen heads here. We're also got to take off this is the tensioner, so it puts tension on this chain right here. Okay, so we got to take that out. 1, 2 bolts, and there should be a spring right here in the middle. Alright, so you got to hold it with this one, turn it with that one. See that? Alright, we got both of the bolts out, so we're going to push the sprocket through, the chain through, disconnect the chain, remove the sprocket, push the chain in, take off the top 4 bolts, here. Just realized that you guys probably can't hear me because of the fan. There we go, that's better. Alright, so hopefully you guys can see that. There's 2 bolts on the inside. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so we got to tap off the head. So I'm going to use this handy dandy hammer. I'm going to tap on it a couple of times. This side and then the other side. After you tap on it with the hammer, it should break loose. Well, I mean, there we go. Doing it for the camera. All right, so we got the head here. I'm going to clean it out real good and clean it up real good. Here's the spot that we're replacing for the top end. It's the cylinder. We're going to just push that chain right on through. Don't lose the chain tensioners. So the chain tensioners are right here and right here. Okay. Just slide her off. All right, heads off. Make sure you don't lose these two dowels. There's one here and one here. And take them both out. All right, top end is apart. So this chain tensioner is not going to come out. The chain's obviously not going to come out. I'm going to clean up all the dirt that's caked on here on the bottom. It's been there for probably years. Clean that up first. That way we don't drag any dirt inside the engine. I typically like to use a shop vac. So break it loose, suck it out with a shop vac. All right, a little trick from this here professional. So if you take the timing chain, you can hook it right to the end there. Make sure you got this good and clean. I'm going to go ahead and scrape off this gasket and get it nice, clean, and pretty. Look at the scarring on the piston. See the scarring? Now we have to scrape. All right, we're going to scrape off the rest of this gasket. And then I'm going to take the pins out where the wrist pin is. There's one pin on each side, circular. So we're going to pop those out and then slide her out. See, all right, see the little pin? So we go in right here where the little dip is, get up underneath it. I used a really tiny poker. Anyways, so we got up under it. I'm going to try to show you the next one. Oh, it takes a second. I can do this one-handed. All right, here we go. Oh, just push this through. Taking it out here so we have a little bit more light. So you tap this is the wrist pin, so you tap it on one side and it pushes through. I just pulled it out the rest of the way with a pair of vice grips. This piston is super scarred up. I don't know if you can see that. Super scarred up. The rings are completely gone. All right, next step. All right, that's what it should look like when you get the gasket off and clean it up. It should be nice and shiny. All right, so we have 5 rings. The top one is the main compression ring. It'll be chrome. Usually on the dirt bikes it's chrome. I don't know what kind of kit you guys have, but so the top one's chrome. That's the second compression ring. You're gonna stagger these two. So like one we'll have over here, one needs to be on the opposite side. And then these 3 make up the oil ring. So we're gonna start with the oil ring. We put this on first, and then we're gonna put one on the top and then one on the bottom and just slide them on. I mean, I gotta flip this over. I need one hand. All right, check it out. All right, check it out. And flip it to the other side. The second compression ring over there. There's one. All right, I'm gonna skip that over. You pretty much just stagger them. Depending on which kit you have, I have in and an outside on the piston. It's the first time I've seen that, but anyways, so the end part needs to go straight up. That's where your intake is. And the exhaust is on the opposite side. So in at the top, this is how we're gonna put it back in. We slide this onto the rod and then slide the wrist pin in. And then once again, you put pins on each side, the round pins. All right, piston is in, wrist pin is in. I'm gonna take these pins to hold the wrist pin. Just take a pair of vice grips, grab the center of it, place it into the rim, and you twist it just a little bit and it'll pop in. All right, the wrist pins are in on both sides. Make sure that we're still staggered on the 1 and 2 compression ring and the oil ring. And we're going to slide on the new cylinder after we coat the inside of the cylinder with oil. All right, take a wire, put it around your timing chain, just like so. That way you can pull it through each stage. And then go ahead and take out your stuff here and inspect your gasket. All right, gasket's on. All right, so we got to put the dowels in. You got one here, one there. So put those in, just wiggle them a little bit and they'll go down. Boom. All right, so now we got to coat the inside of this with not nasty oil, but new oil. All right, should have a nice clean coat all the way around the, there it is. All the way around the cylinder. All right, this is my favorite part. So once we get to right here, we have to compress the rings as we put it inside the cylinder. So you kind of compress them, and if you just wiggle the head a little bit, usually it slides right on. Don't forget, don't push it all the way down yet, because we have to slide the timing chain through, and then we got to put a timing chain holder slapper thingy on the other side. Once you get it down and in there, it's easy squeeze. You just wiggle it on. And I got the tensioner chain, or whatever. Look how nice. All right, I got the head cleaned up, polished. I've got the dowels in and the head gasket. Looks pretty. So the next point we have to do, before we put that in, we have to put in the chain slider. Just like so, and it slides in just right there. It's hard to do this one-handed. Well, you get the gist. All right, there we go. One on top, one on bottom. Look at that shiny new piston. All right, we got the head on. So then we got to get the chain, timing chain, through the head gasket and then back up into the cam. All right, so we're getting to the point now. We got to finish putting the head back on, but at the same time, we've got to get this in time. Okay. So the first one we got to do is pull off the cover here. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think there's one right here, like 5. I'm probably going to pull this off too. There's 2 bolts right here and one at the bottom. I love all the little surprises you find. Look at that. Anyways, there's more bolts than I thought. So we took off the cover here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then we've got the gasket. I've already got a gasket to put back on. All right, it's finally cooling down a little bit. Like 100 degrees here in Alabama. All right, so I got the side of it off. Okay, it's a bunch of bolts. Okay, so when you take this off, make sure you keep the bolts where they are. Some of them are different sizes. That's going to get real nasty. All right, so we're looking at the marking on the case. Let's see if I can get in there. See the mark right there in the center. Okay, let me take this off real quick because we're going to have to turn it. All right, so you see the T right there, the mark with the T. The mark on the flywheel has to line up with this notch right there perfectly. And at the same time, we're going to put the cam on, and we're going to line up the line on the cam with this notch here. Once all that's on there, it's in time. But so the problem is I need to go ahead and finish putting this head back together so that it doesn't wiggle or anything. And I need to put the chain tensioner back in. Not tighten it, but just put it back in. So I'm gonna work on that now. Hey guys, I had to poop, but I'll put the torque specs out while I'm on the pot. All right, now we're gonna put in the tensioner. Maybe. It kind of gets hung right there, but it'll go on. Just gotta tap it. We got to clean off this gasket all the way around and on the back side. All right, we got it all together. So the T on the cam sprocket's lined up, and the T, let's see if you can see it here. T's lined up there. So both of them, the T's lined up. So we're going to go ahead and tighten these down. I'll tighten the chain tensioner down and then put the cover on. Our tensioner is tight, cam tight. I'm going to place the gasket, the new gasket, on the side of the engine cover. Alright, so we got the bolts back down. So you want to start on, it doesn't really matter where you start, but you got to do one side then the other side. And then one side then the other side. One side then the other side. Do it that way the gasket doesn't get wrinkled up, start leaking later on. Got the cam chain tensioner tight. Got the cover back on. We're going to plug back in the stator. And then I'm probably going to leave this open because I've got to replace the teeth on the rear sprocket, or the front sprocket. Alright, we got your two bolts that are for the oil return. I'm going to put the oil return back in on this side. Plugs back up right there and right there. Alright, tighten up the 4 bolts on the top of the head. There's 2 bolts inside here, same way as you took them off, and then put the cover, cam cover, back on. Place the carburetor back on here. Went ahead and hooked up the intake also. Alright, and we have everything tight. Gonna crank her up.